In the heart of a furious Christmas blizzard, when the city lights blurred into halos of white and the wind howled like forgotten grief, a lone woman walked with her faithful German shepherd, unaware that fate waited on snow-covered steps. A small girl sat there, shivering in a thin pink coat, eyes wide with desperate trust.
He's such a
She
good
looked
boy,
up
isn't
and
he?
asked one
Yes,
quiet
I love
question
him so much.
that would shatter years of solitude. "Are you Emily Harper? My dad said you're the only one who can save us." In that frozen moment, a
You're
life of
such a
loss
good
was about
girl.
to find its
I
way
love
home.
you, Mommy.
And
If
he
this
loves
already
you.
pulls you in,
You're good,
like,
doggy.
share,
He
and
likes
subscribe,
you.
because this story is just beginning. The snow fell thick and steady that December evening, blanketing the city in a hush so deep it swallowed every sound except the low moan of wind through bare branches. Street lights glowed like pale moons, their halos blurring in the white. 2 days before Christmas, and the world felt already emptied, waiting. Emily Harper walked alone, or nearly so. At 35, she carried the quiet weight of a woman who had learned to measure life in boardroom hours and late-night spreadsheets. Tall and slender, her long brown hair tied back neatly against the cold, she moved with the deliberate stride of someone who no longer expected surprises. Her dark gray trench coat, buttoned to the throat, shielded the black turtleneck and charcoal trousers beneath. Black leather boots crunched softly through fresh powder. 5 years earlier, a car accident had taken her husband, and with him the small dreams they had whispered about children, a house with a yard, ordinary mornings. She had buried those dreams the way one buries anything too fragile to survive grief, deep and without looking back. Work became the only place where control still held meaning. Yet every evening the apartment waited, silent, except for the tick of a clock and the occasional sigh of the radiator. Rex padded beside her on his black leather leash. A German shepherd, in his 8th year, black and tan coat thick against the wind, he carried himself with the calm certainty of an animal who had never questioned loyalty. Her husband had rescued him from a shelter years ago, brought him home with a grin and the words, "He's family now." Emily had loved the dog then, but after the accident, Rex became both comfort and reminder. Each time he nudged her hand or looked up with those steady brown eyes, she felt the old ache stir, the ache of a life interrupted. Still, she walked him every day. The routine was a small mercy. It pulled her out of the office, into the air, away from the echo of her own footsteps in empty rooms. Tonight the roads were impassable. The driver had called to say he could not reach her. So she walked the 8 blocks home, Rex at her heel, the snow gathering on his coat like soft epaulets. The street lay deserted. Businesses had closed early, windows dark, holiday lights flickering behind drawn blinds. Emily kept her head down, collar turned up, breath clouding the air. Rex walked close, his paws leaving neat prints beside hers. Then he stopped. His ears lifted. A low rumble grew in his throat, not a growl, but an alert, insistent sound. He pulled gently on the leash, turning toward the stone steps of an old brownstone. Emily followed his gaze. There, half hidden by drifting snow, sat a small girl. 5 years old, perhaps, blonde hair escaping a loose braid, fair skin flushed red from cold. Her pale pink parka was too thin for such weather. Beneath it, a white sweater showed at the collar, gray leggings clung to thin legs, and gray boots, worn, soles thin, dangled above the step. She sat very still, hands folded in her lap, staring straight ahead, as though waiting for something certain. No mittens, no hat, only the wind tugging at her braid. Emily's heart gave a quiet lurch. A child. Alone. Rex moved first. He stepped forward, lowered his head, and licked the girl's small bare hand. The girl did not flinch. She looked at the dog, then up at Emily. Her eyes, large, blue, serious, held no fear, only recognition. "Are you Emily Harper?" the child asked, voice small but clear against the wind. Emily crouched slowly, knees sinking into snow. "Yes. How do you know my name?" "My dad showed me your picture. He said if I saw you, I should tell you we need help. He said you're the only one who can help us." The words landed softly, yet they carried the weight of something already decided. Rex sat beside the girl now, pressing his warm side against her leg. She reached out and rested her palm on his head. The dog did not move away. Emily felt the old walls inside her tremble, just a little. She had spent years building them high, brick by careful brick. Yet here was a child in the snow, and a dog who remembered how to trust. She looked at the girl again, at the way she sat so straight despite the cold, at the way her fingers curled gently in Rex's fur. "What's your name?" Emily asked. "Lily?" Emily nodded once. The wind swirled snow between them. Rex looked up at her, eyes steady, as though he already knew what came next. She extended her hand. "Come on, Lily. Let's go find your dad." The girl placed her small fingers in Emily's palm. They were ice cold. Rex rose too, tail giving a single slow wag. Together they stepped off the stoop into the storm. For the first time in years, Emily felt something beyond the familiar ache, something fragile, tentative, almost like hope. Not loud, not certain, but there. The old brownstone stairs creaked under their steps, wood worn smooth by decades of quiet comings and goings. Snow clung to the railings like forgotten lace. Inside the hallway, the air smelled of damp plaster and faint cooking oil, a scent that spoke of lives lived close together, yet far apart. Emily led the way, Lily's small hand still in hers, Rex close at heel. The child walked without complaint, though her boots left wet prints on the worn runner. 3 flights up, they stopped at door 3C. Lily knocked in a pattern, 3 quick taps, 2 slow, then called softly, "It's me, Dad. I found her." The door opened almost at once. Andrew Foster stood there, leaning against the frame, as though the wood alone kept him upright. 33, perhaps 34, tall once but now hollowed out, his short brown hair unkempt, no beard to hide the sharp lines of his face. His skin had the gray pallor of someone the light no longer reached. A thin navy sweater hung loose on narrow shoulders, cuffs frayed. Gray joggers and thick wool socks completed the picture of a man who had long stopped caring about appearances. His brown eyes, though tired, held a quiet steadiness when they met Emily's. Recognition flickered, then something deeper, relief mixed with shame. "Ms. Harper," he said, voice low and roughened by illness. "You came." Emily felt the years collapse in that single look. 3 years ago he had been her executive assistant, efficient, thoughtful, always one step ahead. He left suddenly, citing family reasons. She had missed his calm presence more than she admitted. Now the man before her was a shadow of that memory. Andrew stepped aside. "Please, come in." The apartment was small, clean in the way desperation makes one tidy. A single lamp cast warm light over sparse furniture, a threadbare couch, a low table, a tiny Christmas tree in the corner, strung with paper ornaments. The radiator hissed softly. Rex entered last, paused, then walked straight to Andrew and pressed his side against the man's leg. Andrew's hand dropped to the dog's head. His fingers trembled once, then steadied. Rex stayed there, solid and warm, as though he remembered the man who used to slip him treats under the desk. Andrew lowered himself onto the couch with careful movements. Lily climbed up beside him, curling into his side. Rex settled at their feet, head resting on Andrew's socked foot. Emily took the chair opposite, coat still on, gloves in her lap. The silences stretched, broken only by the wind rattling the window pane. "I'm sorry," Andrew began, "sending her out like that. I know it was reckless, but the phone, we lost service 2 days ago. Bills." He looked down at his hands. "I watched your building from here. I knew you walked home on Wednesdays when the weather turned bad. I told Lily where to wait. I told her you were kind, that you'd help." Emily listened. The words carried no plea, only fact. She saw the pride in the way he held his shoulders, even now, the same pride that had made him excellent at his job, the same pride that had kept him from asking sooner. Andrew went on, voice steady but thin. "After I left Harper Tech, the diagnosis came fast. Stage 4, no family left. Lily's mother walked out when she was 2. I fought it as long as I could. Chemo, trials, everything. But time is short now. He paused, breath shallow. I can't leave her to the system. She's bright, gentle. She deserves more than strangers passing her along. Lily looked up at her father, then at Emily. Rex lifted his head, ears forward, as though listening too. Andrew met Emily's gaze again. I remembered how you were with people. Fair, patient. You lost your husband? I knew that. No children. I thought maybe you'd understand what it means to lose everything that matters. The room grew quieter still. Rex shifted closer to Andrew, a low sigh escaping him. Emily felt the old walls shift inside her chest, not crumble, but soften at the edges. She looked at the child nestled against her father, at the dog who had chosen to lie between them like a bridge. Memories rose unbidden, her husband laughing as Rex chased a ball in the park, the way he used to say, "He knows who needs him." She had pushed those memories down for years. Now they surfaced gently, without accusation. Andrew's eyes never left hers. I'm not asking for pity, just a chance for her. Emily did not answer right away. She let the moment sit. The radiator clicked. Snow tapped the window like distant fingers. Rex looked up at her, brown eyes calm and sure. In that quiet, something in Emily loosened. Not a decision, not yet, but a crack of light. She had spent so long believing her heart had no room left. Yet here, in this small room, with its thin walls and fading light, she felt the possibility of space again. She nodded once, slowly. I'll listen, she said. Tell me everything. Andrew exhaled, a sound almost like gratitude. Rex rested his head on the man's knee. Lily reached down and stroked the dog's ear. For the first time in a long while, Emily did not feel entirely alone. The lamp's warm glow softened the edges of the small room, turning shadows gentle. Outside, the storm had quieted to a low murmur, snowflakes drifting past the window like slow, silent thoughts. Inside, time seemed to hold its breath. Andrew leaned forward on the couch, elbows on knees, hands clasped loosely. His voice, though weakened, carried the same measured calm Emily remembered from office mornings long ago. I've thought about this for months, he said. Who could I trust with her? Who would see Lily not as a burden, but as a gift? He looked at Emily steadily. You lost your husband. You built a life without children. But I watched you at work, how you listened when someone was struggling, how you gave second chances without making a show of it. You have a heart that remembers kindness. I believe you could give her what I can't anymore. Emily sat very still. The words entered her like cold air through a cracked door. She felt the old grief rise, sharp, familiar. 5 years of empty rooms, of waking to the same silence, of telling herself the life she once planned was gone forever. Children had been part of that plan once. Names chosen in quiet evenings, a nursery painted soft yellow, all buried with him. Now Andrew was asking her to unearth something she had convinced herself was dead. She looked at Lily. The girl had slipped to the floor beside Rex, knees drawn up, small fingers tracing patterns in the dog's thick fur. Rex lay patient, chin on paws, brown eyes half closed in contentment. Lily spoke without looking up. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher, like Miss Clara at preschool. She helps kids learn to read. And I like drawing pictures and stories. Dad reads Charlotte's Web to me every night. Her voice was soft, matter-of-fact, as though dreams were simple things one could still hold. Emily felt a pang, sharp, unexpected. She remembered her own childhood drawings taped to the refrigerator, her mother's patient voice reading aloud. Those memories had been locked away. Now they stirred, fragile as old photographs. Rex lifted his head. He rose slowly, walked to the sofa, and placed his front paws on the cushion beside Emily. Then, with careful deliberation, he nudged her hand with his muzzle. His nose was warm. His eyes met hers, steady, knowing. A low sound came from his throat, not quite a whine, more a gentle insistence. He glanced toward Lily, then back at Emily, and gave a single soft woof. Quiet, almost apologetic. The room seemed to shrink around that sound. Lily looked up, eyes wide. She slid closer and wrapped her arms around Rex's neck. The dog accepted the embrace without moving away. Lily pressed her cheek to his fur and whispered, "I'll take care of Rex if you take me. I promise. I'll walk him and brush him and make sure he's never lonely." Emily's throat tightened. She saw her husband's face in memory, grinning as he tossed a ball for Rex in the park, saying, "He'll always tell you the truth about people." She had forgotten that laugh, forgotten how Rex used to lie at their feet while they planned a future that never came. Now the dog sat here between her and this small girl as though he had been waiting all these years for this exact moment. Tears came without warning, hot, silent. They slipped down her cheeks and fell onto Rex's coat. She did not wipe them away. She reached out instead, placed her palm on Lily's back, small, warm through the thin sweater. The child looked up, surprised but not afraid. Emily's voice, when it came, was rough. "I don't know how to be a mother," she said. "I've spent so long alone. I might get it wrong, but if you'll let me try, if both of you will let me try, I'll do my best. I'll learn. I'll be there." Andrew exhaled, a sound that carried years of held breath. His eyes glistened, but he did not speak. Lily's arms tightened around Rex. The dog rested his head in Emily's lap, a low sigh escaping him. In the quiet that followed, Emily felt something shift inside her. Not a flood of certainty, but a door creaking open after long disuse. The loneliness that had become her companion was still there, but it no longer filled every corner. There was room now, room for mistakes, room for love. She looked at Andrew. "We'll figure this out together," she said. "All of us." Rex's tail gave one slow thump against the floor. For the first time in 5 years, Emily believed it might be true. Spring arrived slowly that year, melting the last patches of snow into quiet puddles along the curb. Sunlight slanted through tall windows, warming the wide rooms of Emily's apartment. The space, once echoing and spare, now held small signs of life. A child's drawing taped to the refrigerator, a pair of tiny sneakers by the door. Emily had moved them in without ceremony. Andrew's old apartment had been too small, too far from the hospital. Here, rooms opened wide, sunlight poured across hardwood floors, and the elevator made the walk easier on weary legs. She hired lawyers the next day, quiet professionals who understood urgency without needing explanations. Papers were drawn up quickly, signatures witnessed at the bedside. Andrew's condition had worsened. The doctors spoke in careful terms. Time measured in weeks now, perhaps days. Emily did not argue. She simply acted. Rex adapted first. He claimed a spot at the foot of Andrew's bed, a large cushion dragged from the living room. When pain came in waves, Rex would rise, press his warm body against Andrew's side, and stay until the breathing eased. Andrew's hand would find the dog's head, fingers threading through thick black and tan fur. "Good boy," he'd murmur, voice thin but grateful. Rex never flinched at the hospital smell that clung to Andrew's clothes. He simply stayed, solid, patient, a living reminder that comfort could still be given even when words failed. Lily changed too, though more quietly. She no longer clung to her father every moment. Instead, she followed Rex through the apartment, small hand on his collar. The dog walked slowly beside her, matching her steps. In the afternoons, Emily learned to braid hair, awkward at first, fingers fumbling with the strands. Rex sat beside Lily on the rug, chin on paws, watching with calm brown eyes. The girl relaxed under his steady presence. Her shoulders dropped, her laughter came easier. Emily noticed. She began to see how Rex taught patience, not through lessons, but through example. A walk in the park became routine, Emily pushing Andrew's wheelchair, Lily holding Rex's leash, the dog alert yet gentle, always positioning himself between the child and any sudden noise. Emily watched Rex nudge Lily back from the path's edge or stand still while she rested against him. Each small act showed her what protection looked like, quiet, consistent, without fanfare. Evenings, Andrew told stories. He spoke of Lily's first steps on cracked linoleum, her love of pancakes shaped like hearts, the way she used to hide under the table during thunderstorms. Emily listened, notebook open, pen moving slowly. She cooked simple meals, soup at first, then eggs, then pancakes. Rex lay under the table, ears pricked for falling crumbs. Andrew smiled at the sight. He always knew where the good parts were, he said once. Emily felt the words settle deep. Rex had known goodness long before she remembered how to look for it. One morning in May, the light came soft and clear. Andrew lay still, breath shallow but even. Emily sat on one side of the bed, Lily on the other. Rex rested his head on the mattress edge, eyes fixed on the man who had once slipped him treats under a desk. A low sound rose from the dog's throat, not a howl, but a soft, mournful note that vibrated through the room. Andrew's hand moved once, resting on Rex's muzzle, then stillness. Emily felt the moment arrive like a tide, slow, inevitable. She took Lily's hand. The child's fingers were small, warm. Tears came without sound. Rex lifted his head, licked first Lily's cheek, then Emily's. The gesture was gentle, deliberate. No frantic barking, only quiet certainty. Andrew slipped away as the sun climbed higher, leaving behind the hush of a room that had held love in its final form. Emily drew Lily close. The girl pressed her face into her shoulder. Rex rose, circled once, then lay between them on the floor. Body warm, breathing steady. In that shared silence, grief arrived not as a storm, but as a deep current. It carried pain, yes, but also the faint promise that what had been given would not be lost. Emily whispered into Lily's hair, "We're still here, all three of us." Rex exhaled, a long, quiet sound. The room held them, and for the first time the emptiness felt smaller. The funeral had passed in a haze of soft rain, droplets tracing slow paths down the chapel windows. Afterward, sunlight broke through, casting long shadows across the empty lawn. The apartment waited, quieter now, but not as empty as before. Papers were signed 2 weeks later. Emily stood in the lawyer's office, hand steady on the pen. Lily became Lily Harper. No fanfare, just a quiet shift, like a door latching softly after years ajar. Back home, Rex greeted them at the door, tail wagging low and slow, black and tan coat gleaming under the hall light. He nosed Lily's hand first, then Emily's. That night, as grief settled like dust in the corners, Rex climbed onto Lily's bed. He curled at her feet, breath even and warm. Lily reached down in the dark, fingers finding fur. She did not cry alone. Emily watched from the doorway, her own hand resting on Rex's head when she joined them. The dog looked up, eyes soft in the lamplight. He had always known how to fill the spaces lost left behind. Emily felt the old ache ease, not vanish, but soften. Rex was more than a remnant of her husband now. He was the thread weaving them together. Days turned to weeks. Emily's life reshaped itself around small rhythms. Board meetings ended early for school pickups. Business trips shortened or skipped altogether. The CEO who had once measured success in quarterly reports now counted it in bedtime stories and packed lunches. Lily grew taller, her blonde bob framing a face that smiled more freely. At 10, she wore glasses now, thin frames that made her look thoughtful, wise beyond her years. Emily learned the art of patience, how to listen to a child's endless questions, how to bandage scraped knees without fuss. Rex was her silent teacher. He showed her love without conditions, waking early for walks, lying still while Lily practiced reading aloud. The dog was aging now, silver threading his muzzle, steps a touch slower. Yet his loyalty never wavered. He slept by Lily's door each night, ears twitching at every sound. Emily saw in him the circle of life, beginnings wrapped in endings, loss giving way to gain. She hugged him often, whispering thanks into his fur. Rex had pulled her from solitude. Now he anchored this new family. Years passed gently. The apartment filled with traces of living, drawings on walls, books stacked by the couch, Rex's worn bed in the corner. Emily's grief became a quiet companion, no longer a shadow, but a memory that warmed rather than chilled. One December evening, they walked home from Lily's school concert. Snow dusted the sidewalks, light and crisp. Lily, 10 now, skipped ahead, her voice echoing with the songs she had sung. She waved back at Emily, calling "Mom," without hesitation. The word landed soft, like a gift unwrapped slowly. Rex walked between them, leash loose, his breath fogging the air. Lily dropped to her knees and hugged him, face buried in his neck. "Dad was right," she said. "You and Mom are the best gifts ever." Emily knelt too, arm around Lily, hand on Rex. The dog leaned into them, eyes half closed in contentment. She thought of the blizzard night, of a child in the snow, of a man's desperate trust. Andrew had given her this: purpose, laughter, the simple joy of mornings shared. Rex had carried them through, faithful as the seasons. In that quiet street, under falling snow, Emily felt wholeness settle, not perfect, not without scars, but complete. She squeezed Lily's hand. "We're home," she said. Rex's tail thumped once, soft against the ground, and in that sound, the promise of tomorrow. As the snow settles and the years gently pass, remember this: loneliness, illness, and the quiet ache of aging are storms many of us face alone, but they never have to be the end. Like Emily, you may find unexpected light in a kind word, a faithful companion, or a simple act of reaching out. You are never truly alone. Love still waits to find you, even in the darkest winter. Dear friends over 65, share your own story in the comments below. Someone needs to hear it today. If this touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so we can walk this journey together. May the Lord wrap you in His peace, heal your body, ease your burdens, and fill your days with gentle warmth and hope. You are loved, cherished, and never forgotten. God bless you always.